we are present. That's the universe right now. So that means that you have a choice, as she said. And it's easier said than done. And this is where people get caught up in it. They go, well, that's easier said than done, Sifu. I have things that just can't get out of my head. I can't discern the difference. It's driving me nuts. Okay. That's why we start with the feeling. And you will have evidence-based experiences of confirming your validation. I did it once. I thought of my mother 6 times this week, and she called me 8 times. Hi, guys. On today's podcast, we're going to go extensively into understanding how to discern between your higher self and your personality, working through the limitations that come from more a realm of man viewpoint, and realize that fear does not control you. Fear is an indicator that you need to step away. Fear is a construct of a thought process that is from a realm of man. Understanding that the universe is one, the universe is present, and we'll go deeper into this, helping you understand that. And look out for the end of the podcast where we go into an exercise that evokes your whole energy body using an ancient Taoist practice. Enjoy it, my friends. We'll talk to you soon. Welcome to the Consciousness of the Way. Come on in, you beautiful beings. To my divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade, good morning.
Good morning.
And I'm your humble servant and Sifu Taoist Master Son, Quinn. Wow. Another profound day. One of my all-time favorite movies, Hair. It's the age of the Aquarius. When the moon and the stars align. Anyway, what an incredible time in history. How little did we know there was so much more beyond the mind-melting drugs that they were taking back in the 70s and 60s, and what it really entreed into gateways of a greater state of consciousness. So, what an interesting day today. So, we want to talk about understanding deeper levels. Like, for example, people talk about that's more common, especially within this space, sort of Kundalini experiences, where you're awakening this, trapped energy that raises to the highest point. And then also perceptions of reality. Your perception is the most important, and understanding that how you are discerning information that you're receiving from a base level all the way up to higher frequency, what does that mean to you? And so what's really important, that's what we do all day, every day. I've been doing this for over 30 years, teaching people how to become a refined tuning fork of the universe, and being able to validate or confirm information that you're receiving as it is, not a sort of like a hot potato experiment that you're having with yourself, and you feel trapped in, what's going on here? Am I making this stuff up? Am I thinking about it? Is it really happening? That's the whole part of refining the energy, the energetics, where you are able to confirm the validation of what's going on within your physical body to match what's going on in your consciousness, because everything is a thought, feeling, and an emotion, and this is then transmuted into, what you are able to then validate as, I got a message, whether it's, just an image, whether it's a word, whether it's an actual spirit, a guide. You are leveling up every day, that you acquire another sensory perception, which is what we define it as. And, it can come in the form of what people will define it as. psychic capabilities, clairvoyant capabilities, mediumship, channeling, healing, the ability to transmit and affect change within someone at a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level. These are all things that we have access to. These are all things that anyone walking the face of this earth today has the ability to access these incredible, what people have been led to believe are supernatural. They're superhuman, and we all have the ability to do it. It's just finding a way to refine your skills so then you have this validation. You can have an evidence-based experience where you go, hey, look, I focused my attention and I transmitted energy, and it affected someone else in the room, whether their emotions, whether they captured a thought projection that you had, whether there was a physical transformation from a cellular level. These are all parts of validating your experience. And so many people have spent many years walking around and being sort of like confused or keeping their experiences to themselves because they feel as though they're making this stuff up.
Mm-hmm. And I think there is definitely a couple levels when it comes to that too. There's people who get messages who like a life-altering experience that maybe weren't necessarily looking for the message, but it's like it hits you so hard, an event where you're like, I have to start listening. And then there's people who are consciously going, I need a message, or I want to hear, or was that a message, or I'm actually looking for a specific answer, and I really want to tap into that. And it's happening all the time, whether you're aware of it or not, or whether you're asking for it or not. It's happening all the time. It's just tuning yourself to that frequency, realizing, frequency. It's tuning yourself to it and aligning yourself with it and realizing, that, hey, this is happening all around me.
Right.
I remember a specific moment where it was like, I'd been playing soccer for 13 years and I was at that precipice where I'd been playing it for so long that I didn't want to leave it because I had this like comfortability, but at the same time I was on the crossroads to like, I want to do something else. And I remember this was before kind of getting into really tapping into my intuition. And I was like, I need a sign. I want a sign. What should I do? Should I quit? Should I keep playing? What should I do? I'm at this crossroads. And I kind of knew the answer, but I didn't like the answer. Because it was like there was half of me that still wanted to play, half of me that didn't want to play at all. I wanted to quit. I was done. It was like, okay, close this chapter. And throughout those 13 years, I'd never really been injured, like seriously injured. And that next weekend, I played a soccer game, tore my ACL, tore my MCL, messed up my knee completely. And I was like, okay. There's my sign. I think I'm done. I knew I was done, but it was like I needed that closure. I didn't even need that closure. I was just resisting it. That it was like, we'll give you a message if you want. It might not be what you want, but it's like, you'll get it. And it was like, okay. And that was my first point where I was like, okay, this is happening. I don't have to take it to that extreme to want to connect and listen. I can listen without it. And some people do. They have to go to that extreme where it's like a car accident or, the realization of mortality or, being sick or that kind of real, whereas you could have just tapped in, created some coherence.
Well, you can only tap into what you know. You know what you know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you made a very valid point. Understanding that you have to start somewhere. So the baseline is realizing that information is being transmitted 24/7, 365, and how you refine that. That's where Taoists are second to none when it comes to refining those metaphysical skills. And that's why, over the history of the last 100 years, some of them, the greatest minds or icons, have really fallen and reached out to one valid system that is second to none, i.e., Bruce Lee is a great example of that, where he searched and he found that, Taoism offered all those internal alchemy skills, and he was training them in them extensively before his untimely passing in this physical world anyway. And, we've gone over, he's come to me many times. You can go to our channel and go over the information that he's shared with the channel in relation to how he ended at this, turning point within his physical life and what happened to him as he transitioned from that to, where he is today. So, let's talk about, duality in of itself, and understanding that, when you're operating in duality, you have this perception of up and down, in and out, left and right. Know this to be true. The universe is present. Okay? So what does that mean? It doesn't have a moral compass. It's not working within that framework. This is truly a diabolical sort of like micro macro perception of your reality that helps people separate you from being whole. And so, what does that mean, Sifu? What are you talking about? Well, of course you are conceived, you are born into this world, and then you're given the fundamental physiology of a human being, and then there's a framework of you developing all these sort of skills to acquire a consciousness of who you are in this reality, whether it may be the simplicity of your face value. You look in the mirror, and we had this happen as recently. I think Jade mentioned it, and we put out fundamental shifts of different levels of awareness. And when she had shared this with this particular personality, their response was, "Well, no, they're not. They're not the same. None of them. They're all different. That doesn't really mean. Consciousness is kind of foofy." So they dismissed that. And then, mindset, awareness, what you're doing to acquire a state of awareness, which they kind of called it mindset, was valid in different aspects, which this is generally what people do. They get caught up in their mind and they want to create complexity to something that is very, very simplistic. And we always remind you, go back to a childlike state. When you take things at face value, all of a sudden, your level of awareness, your consciousness is going to raise the bar to the highest level. Realizing this, know this to be true, then all of a sudden, your information is instantaneous. Your access to energy, frequency, vibration is instantaneous. When you just accept it at face value, childlike in your nature. When we say that, it's very important to understand, when you're childlike, there's a certain sort of like access point from a developmental level where your brain is very pliable, and it's very easily trained to however you choose to train it. So you're accessing a brainwave, right, which is alpha and theta brainwaves that are giving you the ability to change the autonomic behavior, the autonomous behavior that you have, and you're able to do it at will when you're evoking this gamma brainwave. It envelops the whole brain, so you go from 5% conscious to 95, 100% conscious, giving you the ability to access anything at will. Some things that you would perceive as a limitation, whether it's a mental, emotional speed bump that you've created in your reality, you're able to access that and then shift and change it, dissolve it. So, for example, you may have an OCD behavior, a PTS PTSD behavior, a physical issue, whatever it is, when you access a 5D reality from this 3D reality, which all is frequency level, you are tapping into. It's as if you're reaching out and you're able to alter everything from a subatomic particle because you're at one with it all. So that, I've spoken this before when it comes to understanding how I access healing instantaneously, whether it's information from a high frequency of just tapping into. I have this control center in front of me, and I have all these different icons. As if I'm looking at a computer, I can look at anything, and I'll say, oh, I want to see the information on this, and it will zoom in on it, and it will hand it to me, give you mental, emotional state, physical state. It'll lay it all out there. It's your own personal assistant with instant information. Yet you have to understand that when you separate it and you go, I need to call in certain energies, there's a time and a place for that. When you understand that nothing has title, that everything is the same, the can doesn't have title, the camera doesn't have title, Jade doesn't have title. When there is no separation, that's when you access high frequency levels. When you allow your emotional state to control your behavior, you will be very limited. So you have these people and they start compartmentalizing. So that's the trick. Are you thinking or are you feeling? If you're thinking, you're compartmentalizing, you are staying within a perception that you are an individual, or if you're feeling, you are whole, you are one with all things. That's why we don't stress, we focus on the energetic component, the kinesthetic validation, so that whether you are having your personality moment, that doesn't stop the thought, feeling, and emotion affecting the field. Everything is being affected. Like where your eyes go, wave to matter to particle, it's all being altered instantaneously. So just so you understand this, so when you are putting these thoughts out, they're having an effect on the field. And you can either validate it from a simplistic thing where you just instantly manifested something that you wanted. Like I was waiting in a line that was 4 hours long at the local buffet. I put out a thought, feeling, and emotion, and I was fast-tracked. All of a sudden, that line turned into 5 minutes. How is that possible? That's how quickly these things take place. And so when you look at a bigger thing, the only reason for a delay of that bigger thing is because you don't believe it. And so you are then creating these obstacles. The universe hears you very clearly. So the universe is present. So there's no like moral compass going, oh, you've been a bad boy, Johnny. You were thinking about, low moral fiber thoughts of having sex with your best friend's girlfriend. That doesn't, the universe, Tao, God, I'm even going to speak out of God, Jesus. They are not, these are high frequencies. They are not sitting there judging your behavior as a human being, determining whether you have access to these frequencies or not. They're already you. So the real incredible part is this realizing that all that means nothing. Whether you're eating cupcakes or whether you're working out 5 days a week, whether you go to to church 7 days a week, whether you pray 5 times or 95 times a day, this comes down to your connection with the frequencies of the universe. Now, what happens as you get higher in that frequency, you become one with the universe. The universe has created all these things. The Tao has created all these things. God has created all these things. Buddha has created all these things. What does that really mean, Sifu? Okay, I'll tell you what it means. It means there's zero interest in the creator of all things wanting to destroy all things. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? Well, I'll explain it.
Or micromanage.
Right. So they're giving you all this. So what we're getting back to as we were talking about Kundalini is you have everything within you. So the big misconceptions that I would like to clarify, because it's all, if you're coming from a place of fear, it's not from a place of knowing. You're coming from a place of fear, it's not from a place of manifestation. You're coming from a place of fear, it's not coming from a place of healing. So what does that mean? That emotional state is an incoherent thing. We've validated this many times over throughout our podcasts, throughout our material. We want you to understand we have a system that removes that, making it you very clear on your vibration, your frequency, your energy. So when someone gives you this mindset where, and it's a mindset, that's what it is. I mean, let's be very clear. You go and you find yourself a spiritual teacher. You go and find yourself someone who wants to teach you, respiration, energy, psychic stuff, medium. When they're talking about you need to protect yourself, you need to be fearful, this is a subset or a level of control that is going to make you very limited. Understand that you know that I am you, you are me. If we are one, you want to access high levels of frequency where you're doing things that blow people's minds, like instant healings, instant access to information, psychic, mediumship, channeling, whatever. You need to realize that everything is all the same. This separation and fear of something else is how you are going to become very limited. You're going to become very disappointed because you're operating in that duality. There is zero to fear. That's why the foundation of Taoism is Wu Wei, effortless action, which means accept and allow. And what happens is you just, as you build on it, understanding the mechanisms of manifestation, when you realize a thought, feeling, and emotion generates that rippling effect within the pineal, pituitary, and thalamus, creating the blood as the culture medium that activates your gene expression through that environmental change, the epi, the above the gene expression, which is all things consciousness that you can alter instantaneously. That charge you got, that everyone got right now, is because you are constantly aware. So the high frequency, what happens is you just stay there. So you don't have thoughts of low frequency where you want to separate yourself, you want to argue with another person, you want to install fear in others, you want to complain about things, these are all lower vibrational things that can be evident based by your own experience. You can validate, go, oh, well, Jade and Sifu said this, and when I look around, I get it. That's like a really simplistic way within the duality sort of thing, is like understanding that. Yes. So now you get to a point where, okay, let me get past this, because the more you build on this is how you break fractal patterns that are behaviors that continually repeat themselves. Groundhog Day, I wake up, it seems like the same thing happens over and over again. Well, we've talked about this from a subatomic level in reflection of understanding you are the universe, that inside you, and you have created whatever it is throughout your natural born experience, these fractal patterns that can literally be time and event that will replicate itself until you change that. And you know how you can change that instantaneously. You don't have to sit around there and wait for, oh my goodness, I had this trauma when I was 5. It's going to happen again in a couple of years. Oh no, I don't want to have it happen again. You can change it right now. You want to change it right now. How do you change it? It instantly starts with a thought, feeling, and emotion. When you create that, it builds on itself. When we talk about the 72-hour challenge, we are dead serious. What does that mean? It means you start with accepting and allowing. Wow, what does that mean? Someone gets up in my face. Yeah. Because what happens is you know the old expression, like attracts like, right? Now, that would then come back in a fundamental expression of what people call laws. I don't subscribe to laws of the universe. Laws would initiate or motion the idea that they're fundamental constructs of realm of man. That's just, if you take a moment and listen to yourself, you are limiting it by putting it in that category. So I want people to be really clear. We understand linguistics. We understand all these things. That is a fundamental thing. You're talking about a law. The only law that something would be created, as again, they're referencing the universe, yet the universe doesn't have a moral compass. So it's almost like people don't realize they're saying this. So the fastest way to obtain access to the universe, the Tao, God, Buddha, all is one, is this present moment. Don't look at the past, don't look at the future, right now. And so you can alter your reality instantaneously. Nothing is set in stone if you want to change it. You don't want to be miserable anymore. You don't have to be. You can buy into the glass is half full instantaneously. Your access to consciousness is like this. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't get limited by someone telling you that you need to be fearful. And so this comes with a whole heap of different things. We need to protect ourselves. Listen, I've been doing this for over 30 years. Understand this. I've worked with a lot of, Asian cultures, specifically Chinese, because they're extremely superstitious. I mean, Taoism is founded in some of this stuff, but on a higher level, understand that the superstition is the seed of your reality. That's it. And when I start helping people raise above their duality, they discern this need to be fearful of all things, because once you start gravitating to the glass is half full, the glass gets even more and more full, and it starts the glass. What's the expression? The glass filleth over itself, filleth over itself, and that is a definite signal of abundance, right? If you want to be in abundance. If you want abundance, you must live in abundance. Mm-hmm. It's the old expression, like attracts like. This is something that is an expression that is so much deeper in understanding, because you're the magnet. Your magnet is your truth teller. That information is coming to you because you are drawing it to yourself. Understand this, know this to be true. There is no difference to any of this stuff. So when people start giving you fundamentals, we have systems that have been created and cultivated for thousands of years by like-minded people that are the glass is half full. And you create that stuff. Now, if I'm operating with somebody who's operating in a duality and they bring these energies in, they're very real. I see them, I exercise them, I exhume them, I remove them, I clear houses, clear energy. But understand that's your fundamental perception. If you want to believe that there's a heaven and hell, then that is your reality. And you will find evidence of that, and it will be validated through your experience. There's nothing wrong with it, but understand when you're operating in that, you will be validated by those confirmations. And so know that from the perspective of the universe, that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the most important thing with that too is what we try to reiterate constantly is getting you to understand that that's a choice. That's not a burden. That's not a ultimate fate. That's not the way people look at it, like, oh, well, I grew up this way, so I'm going to end up this way. I had this happen to me, so this will always happen to me. No, all of these things, fear, emotions, whatever, traumas, they're all choices. You have the choice. You have the power. You are empowered to decide whether that's something that you want to value and keep with you and something that you want to let go of and move past it into the reality that you want. Right. And that concept, I think, is so important for people to kind of step.
Well, it's not conceptual. I mean,
it's not conceptual, but just when they're coming from that duality in that place, that starting point to just reach your hand out and say, you don't have to feel like this. Mm-hmm. You can choose something else. It just gives that person that break for a minute, that break of that fractal pattern to be like, oh, maybe I don't have to bang my head against the wall every day. Oh, I didn't even notice there was a door next to the wall. I could probably walk through that, and it gives them, which is what.
Well, Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, the evidence-based reality is, how do you do that? Okay, you're stuck in my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and my reality is duality. I've ascertained that from what Jade and Sifu were telling me. Well, that's why we are so focused on the systems that we've created, because you synchronize your frequency as the field, and you create a coherent, actionable, tangible, confirmational, evidence-based experience where you can feel it. That's the whole point. When you feel it, you know it to be true. This is why we always talk about the way 126 is a visual audible experience, creating the kinesthetic charge that validates to you you are experiencing this, validates to you you are in a gamma frequency that gives you the ability to do all these things. And the more you validate it, the more it becomes real, right? So the whole point of it is, you want to experience these things and go, oh, it happened once, and it's not going to happen again. No, that's why the way 126 is so powerful, because you are going to ingrain it into your very essence, and then your reality is the glass is half full, 24/7. I'm abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite, the truth to all things. That's the access point, because the universe doesn't have that moral compass. If you were to actually validate what people conceive as the beginning of time, which would be the Big Bang, which I'm not subscribing to that as being the seed of the whole, explanation to all things. We have many different versions. At some point, we'll go through the one that the Tao has shown me, that my teachers have shown me many times over, and you can discern whether you resonate with that message or not. Everything that we share on this channel, you're coming back to it because it resonates with you, and you understand you're like a higher frequency. You're like, wow, holy moly, I feel good around this. I'm feeling more confident. I have a greater understanding of myself, and I'm validating it because I know this to be true. Blammo, bingo, booyah, right here, right now. And as Jade said, you go through these things, but the whole point of it is understanding we are present. That's the universe right now. So that means that you have a choice, as she said. And it's easier said than done. And this is where people get caught up in it. They go, well, that's easier said than done, Sifu. I have things that just can't get out of my head. I can't discern the difference. It's driving me nuts. Okay, that's why we start with the feeling. And you will have evidence-based experiences of confirming your validation. I did it once. I thought of my mother 6 times this week, and she called me 8 times. I got the parking space. I got the cut in line. I got the extra hours on my overtime. Someone handed me, a bag of money. I materialized the person of my dreams. I created this. All these things start to validate, and this is the fastest way you do it. And then, of course, your sensory perception, as we teach people, starts leveling up, and you're able to instantly access that information and start getting very clear visual, audible communications with high-frequency spirits, guides, beyond what you would consider this realm, but all things are as one. Consciousness is as one. So they're all operating independently until they're not, until all of a sudden you pull the veil off and you realize everything is operating collectively as one, not separated. Oh, I'm seeing the spirit, but, I'm hearing this. No, we're all as one. You're seeing this because you finally validated it is one. Mm-hmm. That's where you're like, oh, wow. And it's like, you start to do this stuff and you train in it and it becomes effortless. That's the whole point. That's what you want to do. That's what you're going to do. And so when we talk about Kundalini experience, there's so many misconceptions because it's around fear. You have to find yourself this specific type of teacher. Be very careful. You don't want the energy to go into your brain. I mean, all of that is a misdirection. It's a fallacy. Realize that the Tao has given you this gift of this human body. This is the simulator, the tuning fork. Exactly why would you want to steer away from things that generate high frequency levels? Like if you were to run your EEG when you are in a state of pleasure, and when I say that, I mean you're either pleasuring yourself or you're having an interaction with someone else. The truth is, this state is high gamma frequency, and it's expressed at a level that you're able to affect change instantaneously. If you did nothing more than walk away from this podcast today and went, "Whoa, what does Sifu mean?" Like, whoa, I've had a little stigma behind that whole, sexuality and all that kind of stuff. Understand this: if you create a high point of climax within any type of sexual practice, and we teach sex magic, we just haven't got there at this point. There's so much, we've got so much material. At some point, we'll get there. Whenever my teachers tell me to get there, and we'll go through it. And you've come across things like Tantra and Kama Sutra, all these types of things. They're practices where you harness those energies. That's the whole point. But let's just say you get to that point, that pinnacle point of climax. That is a point where you throw out whatever it is that you want, because the universe will fast fill your order that's necessary. That's the whole point of it. You are resonating at a high frequency, bliss, happiness, joy.
Just
That's
like
that
you
moment.
said, you're
Even
present. That moment,
that's right.
you are not thinking about anything else. You are present
Right.
in that moment,
Right.
and that is your, like you said.
Right, right. And so understand these are all, you're not given this to suppress it. If you get someone from any type of belief system, and I say that because I'm going to generalize religion, because I love religion, I love belief system, I love faith, because it gives you a baseline of something. But if your faith, your belief system, your religion puts you in a box where they're telling you need to be afraid of something, I would probably ask you to take a moment to digest that, validate from your truth teller, your heart, and see within yourself whether you believe that that's the truth. And your heart, I can tell you 1,000,000%, I'm psychic, is going to tell you that that is not the truth. And so I'm not telling you to step away from your faith, your belief system, your religion, because that's giving you a fundamental perception of your reality. And that's a beautiful thing. Having no perception is worse than having a perception. And so, worse in the sense of you are operating in a duality. Understand this, know this to be true. This is not how I filter my information. I operate as one. So, when it comes to Kundalini, you're evoking these energies, and most people just say it's you're evoking this energy at the sacrum, at the tailbone, the base of your spine, which is more around the perineum area. It's a what the Taoists call the lower dantian area, which is basically your second energy center, which is connected with the earth, right? And so you're literally taking earth energy and you're running it up your spine, which the Taoists would call a Tai Chi pole, and your bang center evoking the pineal gland, which then it's like a dominoes effect: pineal, pituitary, thalamus, and you're activating alchemical responses that give you the fun factory. They give you all these what we call vivid, tangible experiences where you're accessing information. This is not something that is a momentary glimpse of whatever. You can be trained in this to do this at will. That's what we do. Understand that if you're afraid of something that you generate within your own body, you're already being distracted. Nothing fearful can come from something that has been given to you and handed to you by the Tao as perfection. You are perfection. So never be concerned about, oh my goodness, my body's going to create something that I can't handle. That is a fear-based, duality-based perception, and it's handed to you to limit your potential, limit you as one. And so when you evoke this, and then for Taoists, it's called the microcosmic orbit. It's not the Kundalini awakening. So, you evoke this and you go through the universe and you create a loop. And once that turns on, ay caramba, you are going to have a magical experience like Jade and I. For me, all day, every day is a lucid DMT experience at will. Whenever I want to concentrate on that feel-good fun factory, I can at a moment's notice and feel as though I've, been on some bender of mind-altering, what some people would call mind-altering drugs that have given me these incredible, vivid images. I'm doing that right now. I'm sitting here in the universe experiencing all the fractional, different, subtle energies of the universe, whether it's from the sun or it's from the moon, the earth, stars, constellations. It's all being sampled through this tuning fork, and I get to experience that. And if I tune your attention to it, you can start to experience it also. As you've experienced through this channel over and over again, we keep talking about it, and you're able to, through our practices, our exercises at the end of every podcast, you're like, holy moly, that's like instant. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is like that feedback loop, and that you talk about. And a lot of people, when they are in that duality, are creating that feedback loop with the universe, where it's like, I am a victim, that victim comes back to you. I'm fearful, that fear comes right back to you. I'm stuck in this and I'll never get out of it, that comes right back to you. And it's it also happens the opposite way, which we tell people when you get started using the way 126 and you're creating that coherence. It's like, I want to manifest something. That manifestation happens. And then you go, ooh, that feedback loop changed all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. I want to create a healing. Whoo, that healing happened. And then it expands even more. Ooh, I want to get a message of something or tap into more of my intuition. That feedback loop will come back. And then you start to expand, because now you've altered that feedback loop from, whatever, a lower vibrational energy to a higher vibrational frequency. And all of a sudden, those things start opening up. And that feedback loop gets to a point where, like you said, you're experiencing everything. You're not even thinking about it. You're just present. You're in it. You're seeing everything. You're one with the universe. You are the universe. It's so natural, and it's so easy, and it's so mastered that it turns into a knowing.
Right. And that's a very, very important point, is knowing. Feeling is knowing.
Yep.
And while you're on your journey, your feeling can be altered by emotional content. And if that emotional content is evoking, a fear-limited, contracted base perception, you can stop for a minute and validate that, because this is your moment, your consciousness moment to go, Sifu said, if I'm fearful, yes. That way you can be aware, oh, hang on a second, let me pull me back here. I'm immersing myself, this isn't real. Absolutely 1,000%.
It's so easy to see it in other people too. Like, you watch your husband and he's like stressed out. He's late for work. He's trying to run out the door. He's like, have you seen my keys? Have you seen them? Have you seen my wallet? Have you seen my phone? I lost my this. And you're like looking at him going, your keys are in your hand and your phone is in your hand and your wallet's in your bag. But, you're watching him. He's stuck in this emotional content of like stressed. I'm worried about work. I'm late. I have a big meeting. I'm anxious. I'm nervous. And that's all being wrapped up. And like you're standing back as the observer. And we always say, be the observer. And you're going like, hey, like you have everything. It's right in your hands, And it's like, it's easy to see that in someone else. And then when you're in it, you're in this kind of tornado of emotions. We're giving you the understanding that you can kind of take a step back from that, take a step back from those emotions and go, okay, wait a second. I don't have to be stressed. I can take a deep breath. I don't have to be incoherent. And now I can start making some decisions that, okay, I know where my keys are. I know where my wallet is, and start operating in a way that is that coherence, as if you're watching this other person with a completely clear, leveled, coherent viewpoint, instead of this wrapped up in this, oh, I'm going to be late. What do I do? Where's this? Where's that?
Right. And so understanding that, you start there. It only has to happen once. And you break that pattern and that behavior, and you start building on the reality that is the perfect one that you were brought into this world to, and that's the present moment. And when you're in that present moment, anything is possible. You're abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. That means that you are the field. The field is you creating instant manifestation, instant healing, instant magic, realized. So that's the universe. So, and, what happens is there are no coincidences. That's why you're here. Just that fundamental, we could call it concept. But when you realize that, you're like, well, I'm here. That's right. I believe in that. I believe in there are no coincidences. Then I'm being put in the right place at the right time, listening to this specific podcast, helping me understand my perception of my reality. And it's happening right now. And now Jade and Sifu are giving me these tips on how to get a handle on my simulation of my reality, light to wave to matter to particle, which is all light, and your attention intention is affecting change within that, because all light is all things, energy, frequency, vibration. So when we talk about the deeper level of Kundalini, which is a Hindu practice, people are more familiar with this. They're not as familiar with the microcosmic orbit because, again, and we've referenced that as you get that experience. We've referenced that a lot of these practices have been hidden or removed from any sort of public information for centuries. And Taoists are always like that. I'll be the first one to confirm it. I'm sharing all this with you because my teachers are like, it's reveal time. And I'm very excited to evoke this consciousness within all people and to raise them to another high level of awareness by using these tools to awaken themselves as one. And the higher that frequency, the higher we raise, mankind, humanity, so that we can get back to the business of being present and profound things of that. When you are if you want to be abundant, you must live in abundance. Love is an expression of your very validation of all is one. Acceptance, love, approval. Approval is probably a little bit harsh, more realm of man. Let's just say acceptance. When you accept all things, it starts to gravitate, and you are now breaking that fractal pattern, and you're creating more incredible serendipity, coincidence, synchronicity over and over again. And you're like, my goodness. And that's why the 72-hour challenge is so powerful. When you accept everything as all things within 24 hours, my life is drama-free. What's going on? Why is it that I can just do this over and over again? And there's less and less drama. These things just fall away from me. I'm no longer surrounded by what I've perceived as a limited viewpoint in duality. I feel like I'm just lucky. Yeah, because you are creating that manifestation. You are generating it because one thought, feeling, and emotion generates another one, and you build on it, and it increases the magnitude of your experience, and you stay in that field, that state, that consciousness, and that means that it just gives you that present moment. Your gift is your offering. The present is a gift. What did you just say, Sifu? Let me repeat this one more time. Your gift is your offering. The present moment, present, is a gift. Think about that for a second, because I don't want you to think too much, because that would then bring you back to a duality. Let's just accept it as this. Present moment, a present, right, is a gift. Oh, yeah, I get that. Yeah. Your gift is your offering, and that creates this loop. So what you put out comes back to you. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, yes. This is the magnitude of what we speak of. So you take the present, which is the gift, and that is your offering, and hit play and repeat over and over again to a point where your life is so charmed, so effortless, so serendipitous that it's like, whoa, I just can't, and you do, your personality, and we're not asking you to erase your personality. It's just being able to discern between personality and divine self, and you should never be taught to believe that you're erasing your personality. It's unnecessary. You can access instantaneous manifestation with these frequencies.
And you can still
Frequencies.
And you can still like all the boy bands from the 90s.
Yes. Right? And that's the profound part is, being down with, Justin Timberlake or, at 95 degrees or 98 Fahrenheit, Nick, whatever his name is, Lachey or whatever his name is. How I knew that's kind of scary to me that I actually said that. What's up, Nick? Anyway, I'm not a fanboy.
I've been rubbing off on you.
Yeah, I'm not a fanboy. I think, maybe I watched that reality show you did with one of your ex-wives. She was definitely, you were holding on for dear life in that relationship. No wonder you got a sponsor of Bud Light. I get it. That was sort of like a big thing. And then you kind of replicate that and realize, oh my goodness, that's probably not where I want to be. So let's talk about this Taoist practice, this microcosmic orbit, and how powerful it is. Today we're going to give you a taste, a sample, man. We're going to give you a sample, and it's just going to be a concentrated thing where through our respiration techniques that we've been teaching you, and you're ascertaining, like instantly we talk about it, we're getting the chills, right? Everyone can see that, the chills, the vibration of the energy, it's starting to raise up. You're getting the prickly skin, the hair's raising in your arms. You're like, holy moly, what's going on here? Yes, because, yes, if I say it, it is so. Oh, yeah, that's right. And that's the truth. So I tune into the frequency. You're already tuned in. You're tuning into our frequency. You're like, the frequency, oh my goodness. Yes. And so for all the 126s, all the regulars to the channel, everyone, we're focusing now on understanding. We've gone through today, and Jade and I would like to relay to you the fundamental understanding of you as one, the universe. The universe has no moral compass. Do not be dissuaded or manipulated by someone telling you, stay within this duality and you will be all-knowing. That is a fallacy. Understand, if you want to be present as the field, creating manifestation, magic, and healing, all things are as one. I am you, you are me. Fearless is the core fundamental of who you are. Fear of is a limited perception of your reality. Understand that, know that to be true. So there are two basic understandings, and realize that anyone giving you this construct of limitations of, what you're doing, that, your spiritual enlightenment could entail some psychosis because you did too much of something and not enough of another, is another fallacy. Now, if you're going to look for spiritual enlightenment and you're looking for external forces to create that, and you're still operating in a duality, this could potentially create a hurdle for you temporarily. And I've seen it many, many times before. Understand that if you're looking for what's already inside you, look no further, you have it. If you're looking for something and you haven't yet seen it, you haven't yet confirmed it, you haven't yet validated it, but you're jonesing for it. It's like, I got to do it, and you go and you find an external force, i.e., whatever mind-altering things that you need to bring in to evoke what you already have inside you, and you're coming from a duality, this could present some type of hurdle. Is it the be-all or end? Absolutely not. If you've already done it and you've created an enlightenment, but you're here listening to us, wanting to level up because you haven't been able to attain another glimpse of it, welcome, because that's what we're here for. You will come to realize that you can do that. I'm not poo-hooing any of these things because you understand that there are no coincidences. For whatever reason, you came to that point that was necessary for you to evoke that, and then you were like, oh, well, that was short-lived, and I wasn't able to replicate it. I want to find the ultimate goal. Your guides, guardians, and angels are bringing you to this point where you're right here and going, I tried the external thing. I tried, and of course it didn't
Materialize.
materialize into a permanent knowing. And look, I'm here with Jade and Sifu, and they're helping me understand that I can have this within myself and replicate it at will 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, 100. So remember, there is no right or wrong, but understand you have to start with a foundational of we're in a duality. We're coming from this up and down, in and out, left and right. Within Taoism, it's polarizing yin and yang, positive and negative. But when you get to the being part, that's when you get real big stuff, baby. And so, okay, so we talked about the Kundalini. We talked about, this evoking this energy that's trapped inside you that raises up. And most people will talk through their chakras into their, their pineal gland, their upper dantian from a Taoist. And for us, we evoke that. We go through the sacred infinite garden. We evoke the sacred infinite flower. We evoke the Ryu. We evoke the awareness, the oneness that comes with the Tao, the sun, which is all things light. And so, what do we do with that? Microcosmic orbit. What does that even mean, Sifo? Let me look this up on Google. Ooh, it's some type of practice of, they call it potentially a meditation that will give you some type of sense of enlightenment. This is an experience when done correctly. You're going to turn on your energy body on another level. When you do the Way 126, we microdose your energy body, so you evoke that. By the time you're after your first session, you realize you have an energy body. Boom. By the time you finish a 9-week experience, you have a mastery that's at 20, 30 years hanging out with some person in a Tibetan cave in the middle of nowhere chanting mantras, that you will realize the mastery of who you are and have that at will for yours to own forever, never to be taken from you because you created it. You evoke that soft technology. You evoke that tuning fork, and now you are alive. It's alive. So the microcosmic orbit today, we're just going to go through and give you a little taste. We're going to evoke that energy, and we're going to draw it up the Taiji pole through the upper dantian and back down again from where it came from. And so this is what we call, a cycle, a microcosmic orbit. And so it goes through all the channels. And so you're like a Christmas tree. It hits up. So we're going to breathe into it 3 times, and then we're going to inhale that energy. It's going to come up the Tai Chi pole, enter, like basically Heaven's Gate, and evoke all things, awakening, what you've already had happen. I mean, we go through different levels of this stuff because I get excited, so I'll take you right there, and you'll get a taste. Be like, man, that energy's dense. Well, this will be kind of like a cycle where you will feel the energy moving up and down, and it will be a cycle. And once we turn it on, I'll just speed it up a little bit, and it'll be like, you ever seen one of those Hot Wheel tracks where you see your son playing the Hot Wheel and the car's running on the track and it's going really fast? This is sort of like the cycle of yin and yang, yin and yang, yin and yang, and we're going in a clockwise fashion. You will feel it, and it's like it's the runway of your reality. This Tai Chi pole interconnection, evoking all these energy centers. So, without any further ado, that's a lot that we went over today. Mm-hmm. What did you have any closing words before we blast off, High Priestess Jade?
Yeah, no, I'm just really excited for for people to kind of get that realization, get that understanding, get that knowing that it's like, and if you don't have it, this is why we've created our app. This is why we have our system. So, all you have to do is press play, listen, watch, feel, and all of this just comes into realization. You get that first glimpse and go, ooh, okay, I got it. Makes sense now. I am on board. Let's make this thing happen.
Booyah.
Yeah.
So, in practice, what it is short breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, pushing the energy down into the lower dantian. It will start to cluster and collect in that lower dantian area. You're going to do that 3 times, right? And then you're going to hold it for 9. And then I'm going to have you inhale, and you're going to bring it right up. And that inhale is going to draw it right up your Tai Chi pole. Bam! Right into Heaven's Gate. Blammo. All systems are go, evoking the 3 treasures that we speak of. And that Ryu is going to start, showing itself with those crystals. And all those lights are going to be very, very vivid. And this is just a taste. This is a start. We progress you along that path. Do not be fearful of anything. This is all within you. This is the power of who you are. You're going to walk away from this and go, I got to go back and do this, man. I mean, I thought I was high smoking pot or drinking alcohol, but I've got this stuff inside myself 100%. And always know that everything is a tool that's necessary for you at a specific time. Do not look at something and then go, oh my goodness, I was controlled by this alcohol, I was controlled by this drug, this smoking, whatever. These are all tools that are necessary for you to evoke a level of consciousness at that point. The second you identify them as you is when you have created a roadblock. That's all. It's not the be-all or end-all. Oh my goodness, you will burn in hell. No. It's just we need to get you
a different tool,
a different perception, a higher level of perception where you can look at it from here and realize you are one, that you are not this one thing. And when I say that and you're like, well, Sifu, you're talking about, you say you're the universe, you are one. Yes, but the universe is all things. When you are in a sort of a loop that has created this limited perception, you identify as one thing, not all things. And that's the little hump or roadblock that you're going over that we will viscerate and destroy and eliminate and bring it back to its whole as you are whole. You're all things, not one thing. So when you identify with yourself, and this is I feel it's a very limited perception, and people go through this when they've come to a realization they have what they believe is they have no control over things. They become obsessive compulsive, whether it's a specific external thing, i.e. drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever. Oh my goodness, I'm a sex addict, I'm a drug addict, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a this, I'm a that. No, this was a tool that you had at this point. You at the head, hit the end of the road and all life as you know as it is over? Absolutely not. You have just identified and you've leveled up. You become accountable. Now it's time to just move through that and realize you're all things. You're not just this one thing. And that's where, I would say when you have certain systems where my name is John Smith, I'm sober and I am an alcoholic for 40 years. That can present a problem if you understand where Jade and I have come from, speaking on all this stuff right up to this point. You should be able to identify with what I'm saying at this point right now and realize, ooh, wow, that does I'm kind of like limiting myself to identifying as that. Yes. If you want to identify as anything, when you identify as the universe, trust me, you're all things. You don't want to be limited to, my name is John Smith, identify as John Smith. I don't want to limit to, I identify as I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, I'm a sex addict, I'm I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a something else. This is the fallacy, the misconception. When you're all things, nothing has title. This is where you step past it. And never ever look at something as a negative. What? But you mean, hey, look, you realize that you had a lot of sex. You realize you drank a lot of alcohol. You realize that you did a bunch of lines in the 80s while watching Scarface. Whatever it is that you've been doing, this is an identifying moment of realization that this was a tool that brought me to a certain point of consciousness. Now I want to raise my consciousness up higher. And what happens when you raise it up higher? You realize, as all things, as the universe is present as one, those things do not even replicate the frequency that you're admitting. And it doesn't even come close. It's like, hang on a second, that's down here. I'm up here. Okay. Whoa. And that's all it is. So never, ever give yourself a hard time. Never punish yourself by going, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Again, you're compartmentalizing. Realize that it's all present and for you at this particular moment. And when people get sort of lost and they lose their way is because they get caught up in it and someone tells you that, you are limited and you've done something wrong. There's no such thing.
And you'll never change.
And you'll never change, because that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And because you want to, magnify a fractal pattern that continues, that's where it starts, your belief system. If you believe it is true, it is true. You're the validator. Your perception of your reality is you.
Yep. And that feedback loop comes right back, and then you go, oh, well, I'll never change, and then I'll never change, and then I'll never change, and it just keeps expanding. When you shift it to, I will change, I will be who I want to be, I am this person, I am my dreams, my hopes, my desires, my imagination, that expands as well.
And so when you step past identifying, when you want higher frequency consciousness, it comes as one. Realize that your personality can be operating as your personality, and the more you validate that through your confirmation, your experiential moment of the feeling, then you can really start to get a real handle of things. So let's go to the awakening of the microcosmic orbit. You get a sample, you get a little taste. So again, short breath through the nose, breathe out, and you're going to do it 3 times. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. As you exhale, you're breathing that chi down into your lower dantian, which will cluster into that very perfect area, the sacrum, the Kundalini, whatever you want to call it. And so that will cluster there. On the last exhale, you'll hold it for 9. And then once you release that 9, you will then take a big inhale and you will draw that up into the upper dantian, the Ryu, the Heaven's Gate. And then I will just cycle it through. So you get a couple of laps. We'll do about 9 laps. And you'll experience what it's like to get a taste. And then nothing to be fearful of. Holy moly. An awakening. Holy moly. No. You're releasing this incredible concentration of energy, and you're able to transmute it and focus it, being the maestro of your 50 trillion cells, and moving that energy any way you want. Bam! So without any further ado, I would like to thank my divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you, the audience, you incredible, beautiful beings, for sharing your time with us. And let's go and have a little magical mystery ride and enjoy this incredible tuning fork that has been handed to us by the Tao, by the universe, Buddha, God, whatever resonates with you, and understand that it's all inside you. You are as one. And so that magnitude, and like, oh man, the energy is like palpable at this point. Yes, That's it. That's how it works. Blam, instantaneous. So you can keep your eyes open or eyes closed. Close that perception, one sensory perception down, and then you follow my lead. And I repeated it again. Quick inhale, exhale down into the lower dantian 3 times. On the last one, as you exhale, you're going to hold it for 9, and then you're going to inhale. Sifu, how do I inhale? Through my mouth, through my nose. You can actually, you'll go through your nose in the inhale. You're going to draw it up through your nose. There is no right or wrong. Be very clear. Oh no, I drew it through my mouth. Sifu said through my nose. My head's going to explode. Absolutely not. Realize you are crafting your reality instantaneously. You're going to just get a deeper pull at this point, and I'm just sharing it with you. So you will exhale on the last one, hold it for 9, and then I'm going to say inhale. You just draw it right up the Taiji pole. It's going to hit your Heaven's Gate, blam, the Ryu Magic Factory, and then it's going to go straight back down to where it came, like a loop, and then I'm going to run it about 9 times, and you get to experience the fun factory that is yin, yang, blam, 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 and we're going to go in a clockwise fashion. Oh, yeah. So without any further ado, I want you to inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale. And exhale. Now I'm going to loop it around. Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. It's like the nights, the lights, the looping. That's right. It's so funny. I'm feeling this energy moving up and down my spine, going back and forth from my sacrum all the way up to my brain. That's right. And it's weird. I'm looking at Sifu and his fingers are moving, and it's moving with the feeling that I'm having. Blammo. Now just sit with that. And I'm just going to let it be, and it will do its own thing. It's like, that's the consciousness where you go, hang on a second. I'm not doing anything, and this energy is moving through me. Blammo. Just sit with it. Be with it. Oh, my goodness. Wow. And realize your respiration will magnify that. You can take your attention, intention, and you can just do really light inhale, exhales, either through your nose or your mouth, and it will speed the energy up as it loops from top to bottom, turning on those lights, switching them on. And there is a magnitude of different experiences that people will have depending upon where their sensory perception is. Oh, yeah. Wow. And just a little gift. I'm going to do a code, which is 108. Inhale that through your mouth into your upper dantian. Hold it right at the center of your upper dantian. We're going to hold it. 9, 8. Let it condense. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Oh, yeah. My goodness. You guys are incredible. That energy is something else. And it has this ability because you're now literally tuned into the pulsation, the dynamic ebb and flow of the universe. That's why you feel you're sort of, even though you're sitting there, you're feeling your body kind of moving to a certain degree, sort of wiggling from your whole upper body, where if you just allow yourself, you'll sort of move back and forth, front to back, sort of rotate because that's what the energy is doing right now, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies. And that density, condensed energy in your upper dantian is just another realization of that. Yet you have the background looping of that energy from your lower dantian to your upper dantian, yin yang, like a little racetrack. The car's driving around the racetrack real fast, looping in a clockwise fashion. Oh yeah, my goodness. Independent of your thoughts, independent of your feelings, independent of your emotions. It's happening, which makes it a validation, a confirmation of what you are experiencing. Yes. My goodness. That's right. I want to thank my co-host, High Priestess Jade. I want to thank you, you incredible, beautiful beings, for sharing and giving us your time. And I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn, and I will see you on the next one, guys.